fortunate enough that it's over now.
All right, I'm going to apologize in advance. I am
Yep.
at my daughter's Virginia.
Okay.
And she has her 2 lovely corgis that I cannot control.
Okay.
I can't even put them in the crate. They like took the crates, they're in the garage. I can't even crate them.
Oh, really?
I'm hoping they'll be good.
Hopefully no one comes to the door.
Exactly. Or well, she lives in a condo style. It's a townhome, but it's
Okay.
have a ton of people that are always in and out.
Oh.
Everything. Yeah, it's fun.
Sounds like it.
All righty. Do we have our guest of honor?
I don't think he is in here yet. He is not in here. So Judith is saying her dog is barking at your dog.
That is so funny.
It's a relay of things. Let me just go see where Gurmeet is.
It's kind of like whenever I say ALEXA, you know, it's like everybody's goes off.
Yeah, it's like, or you yawn, everyone's yawning. It's
technology.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are there any questions from anybody while we get started? You all have the floor right now. Pop it in the chat. Let's all make sure we know where our chat is. The bottom of your screen. And let's make this like a seek and find. Did you all know how to raise your hand? It usually gets everybody. Yeah, we got some hand raisers. Yay. Love it.
Just waiting to see if this guy responds back to me. I know he had something he was going to postpone or push, so he has all the details that I know. And I'm just going to make sure quickly that he's not sitting in our, nope. Make sure he's not sitting in our.
Questions? Come on, there we go. I've sent a market update email to all of my clients and it resulted in 10 of them unsubscribing. That's okay though. Guess what? That's 10 less you got to call. Or you can just take that as an opportunity to call them and go, hey, just want to know why you unsubscribed, because that's really how we clean up our dashboard, because you don't want to call all your hundreds of leads anyway. So look at that as a yes, I don't have to call them. Because we have to remember, everybody that Googles homes for sale doesn't mean they are going to be a prime candidate. And, you know, we have to look at it as the glass half full, that, okay, we weren't able to find out where they were in the process. They may have never even been in the process. And we do have to be very careful whenever we're sending out any type of mass communication, because if they really don't care about a market update, that is what leads to unsubscribe. So I'm definitely the fan of targeting your proper leads to exactly what they want. So when everybody says, Bev, do you do drip campaigns? I'm like, say that with a grain of salt, because in order for, so just think about you as the consumer. When you are searching for something online because you have an interest in it, if you have an interest in, because I'm a female and I love like high heel shoes, if I have an interest in high heel shoes and I'm online searching high heel shoes, don't send me tennis shoes. I'm going to unsubscribe because it's not of interest to me. And these people don't realize when they unsubscribe from the market report, they're unsubscribing from everything. Just because I unsubscribed from receiving tennis shoes, I've now unsubscribed myself from receiving heels as well. They don't know that or understand that. So we have to be very careful on our target whenever we're sending out information. One more question I'll answer, and then our guest of honor is on. I have selected a filter to see the last people I contact, and I don't know how to set it back to the original default. I'm gonna let you take that one, Crystal.
So so you mean like you've got it so that it's saved as a preset defaulted. So when you log in every time, it's basically on there. Yeah. So basically, I know what you did. So next to where you saved it as your default one. So I believe you can either do that under your user preferences. I know you can do it on your user preferences 100%. Next to the applied save filter, let me just see if I don't have an account.
Here, I got my screen up so you can.
Yeah, so apply, so right next to the filter name there, Beverly, you see how there's like a little save drive right there, like to the left of personal.
Oh, up here?
Okay, we'll just apply one, just apply a filter. Okay, so now you see how there's that blue button next to that caller ID less than 1 or greater than 1. Move your cursor just up, move your mouse up, there, that. So that's what you probably clicked on and it saves it as a default filter. So I am not certain if you can right from there unselect it and then update it. I'm not 100% sure, but I know for fact if you go up into the user preferences up in the top right hand corner, right there, yeah. So if you go up there and click on that, Beverly, and go to user preferences, if you scroll down right there, so default save filter, that you can just select it back to nothing selected and just make sure you save it and it'll revert back.
Well,
that's how you do that. Yep. So the save filter is like for all of you, if you want to like one of your save filters automatically applied every time you log in, that's what that is.
And if it's not that, you just hit remove all applied right there and it takes it back.
Exactly. Exactly.
To everything.
Yes.
All righty. We're ready to get the party started.
Good times, good times.
All right, do we have audio? Are we check?
We have got audio.
All right. So I have a question about your market. I got a little of an indication of what you're looking for in here.
Mm-hmm.
Question is to you is tell me about your market because you're looking to find the sellers in your dashboard, correct?
Me?
No, our guest of honor.
No, I know.
So yeah, there you go. There you go. I can hear. So Crystal had said that you're looking to find the sellers that are in here and learn how to have those conversations to increase that conversion ratio as far as getting the listing appointment to be able to work with them from the buy side. Is that correct?
No, actually, I'm looking to work with them on both sides, either the seller or the buyer. Eventually, every single buyer would be selling. Either they have to sell one now to buy one, or the first-time home buyers in 5 years' time they will buy again. They will change. They will go for a bigger property, or some of them who has already buying a bigger property. Down the time they will be downsizing as well. So every single one that I have here, for me, they are buyer or seller. My main focus is to closing the maximum number of transactions. For this year, with what I'm getting, all these leads, I'm looking here with what.
Oh, is it me freezing or is it him?
No, it's mine froze somehow. I have no idea what happened.
Okay.
So with what I have, the leads I have, I'm looking to close at least 10 transactions from these leads I have, plus whatever my personal is going on the side.
Okay.
So that's what I'm trying to be reasonable to close 10 transactions. I've been with this new system, but I think this is 4th month.
Okay.
But not able to close any.
In 4 months, that's normal. That's okay.
Right?
Because what we have to realize, and I was talking, but before you jumped on, about when people come in, just because they Google searched a home doesn't mean that they're in the market to purchase or that they're in the market to sell. It just means they have an interest for some reason in the homes that are in the market. And we look at it from an assumptive situation because we want the sale. So we're automatically thinking, well, if they're searching homes, they have intention, which is not necessarily the case. So we kind of have to take off that sales hat and say, okay, My main objective is to find out where these leads are in the process and get them to tell us their story and figure out where we fit into their story and when. Because it happens to me. I go on vacation somewhere because I'm interested in real estate. I always Google search homes for sale when I'm on vacation, because I'm just curious to know what the market's doing. So a lot of people just they got a bug up their ass. They're like, hey, I wonder what's going on with the market, but they have no intentions. So we can't look at a lost lead or a lead that we can't get a hold of as it being a lost opportunity. It's just finding out where they are in the process. And that's what I want to know from you as far as your market. Are you in a move up market, a relocation market, a first time home buyer market? What is your primary reason that buyers are buying in your market right now?
I understand where you're coming from, but some of the people that I am in contact with, even though I met with them, they have bought and sold with someone else. So that tells me that I need to improve.
Well, and it depends on when they come in, because the one thing that we can't stop, I'm not disagreeing with you, because I've seen leads from all perspectives. I'll get a hold of a lead that registers 2 hours ago and they're like, I already purchased something. And I'm like, okay, well, I just got to ask, are you under contract or did you actually move into something? It's like, oh, we just put a contract on something. So I know I've lost that deal, right? So now I just got to become inquisitive and go, why did you just log in to look at other homes on the market if you just put a contract on something? I wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing anything, because every buyer has buyer's remorse and they get addicted to the looking stage. And then whenever, it's almost like dating. It's whenever you're dating, you get caught up in the dating. And then when you commit to a relationship, you're always wondering if the grass is greener, if there's somebody else out there that could be better. So home buyers are the same way. We never know what causes them to log in. So they could technically, yes, already have a contract. I am so sorry. They could technically, yes, have a contract on something. So it's just finding out what's going on. Every market's different, every lead is different, and every buyer is different. Sadie, hang on one second. Thank you. All right, she jumped off the window. I'll use her for 2 seconds. So our main objective is call, consistency, find out where they are in the process, and don't cry over spilled milk. Because you have 171 leads in here. Could you imagine if we called 171 people and they all said we want to buy right now? You'd be like, what do I do? It's just too much. So when we look at an average conversion of, and I say this very lightly because I hate using conversion numbers, because there's really no way to properly track conversion. Because if you have a website for 10 years and you have 10-year-old leads and my conversion's at 5%, how is that appropriate? Because I may have a lead that's closing from 8 years ago. Mm-hmm. So unless you're counting your whole totality of leads from the very first day that you generated, you know, it's a whole day. It's kind of that 9 out of 10 dentists choose. So if you're an average 5% conversion, we're putting a lot of stress on ourselves when we lose that one person when they say they've already purchased. We already know 30% out of the gate are going to be bad phone numbers. And we already know that 5% conversion is really, really good. Well, how long is it going to take to convert that 5%? Is it going to be in 2 months? Is it going to be in 2 years? Right? So the main focus and mindset always has to be, there's 171 different stories of people that are in this database. Our job is to find out what their story is and where do we fit in. Does that make sense? Yeah. And sometimes they may have already purchased, but I love when you said these leads, if they're not selling a home right now, they may be selling a home in 5 to 7 years. And you want to be that agent. That is big picture thinking. And I love that, because we should be an agent for life and we should be scaling our business to be that agent for life. So if that's what we're doing and we're building our systems to stay in touch with the people, So we can even look at it from a perspective, most leads do not utilize the same agent on their second transaction. If that's part of your systems and your processes, that means you want to build a really strong sphere campaign and a past client campaign. So that's going to be incorporating client appreciation events and making sure that you're including. And why not include people that already purchased from another agent? It's okay.
Oh, that's
So
okay. If they tell me that, for example, a couple of these guys, they told me they bought a house for such and such price on such and such a street, I search it up, I see if they purchase it. Right then, I set it up as a market match to see
yes,
what is selling in their neighborhood, so they are staying up to date. So if I'm the one who is sending them, not me, it just take me 2 minutes to set it up. So they are receiving email by the system, and sooner or later I will give them a call to see if everything's going on. So I move them, to follow up every 3 to 6 months time, because they already purchased it, to see if everything's okay. So that's kind of how I've been working.
That's
most
one of those things where it's not a get rich quick thing. It takes time.
No.
What I'm going to challenge you with in that perspective is bringing value to those phone calls with asking them, hey, have you done anything new to your house? Or are you planning on doing anything new to your house? I have a lot of contacts. If you need a painter, if you need a contractor, if you need anything, then offer that value to them as a free service just for checking in and following up. So that gives you a great reason to follow up, just to check in to say, hey, I know that you purchased a year ago, 6 months ago, just wondered how your home's coming along. And you're actually in a better position when you didn't sell in the house, because if they're pissed off about anything that come up in the home inspection that broke, right? You're not the agent that sold the house. So that's a great way for a big picture win on leads that, I've already purchased. Well, that's awesome. Let's set you up on a market match, and I'll just casually stay in touch with you over time. Sure. Get them on a mail campaign and look at a long-term result while you're working on your short-term. And that's how you build a pipeline. That's how you build I call it the snowball business, because through time and through that compound effect, it's going to all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I got all these leads now, and I got all these people now that remembered me because I've been consistent. I've been doing what I've been doing. So as far as your market, let's go back to the initial question. As far as first-time home buyer, move-up market, relocation market, what is your primary market?
So far I've been pretty much working with everybody. First-time home buyer, relocation.
Well, you have, but what is the primary reason that people are buying in your market?
Because the houses are getting expensive.
But what is the dynamic of that buyer? Who are they? Who is your biggest amount of buyers in your market? Are they move up? Are they second time home buyers? Are they relocating in?
They are move up, I would say, more likely.
Okay, perfect. So if you're in a move up market, that means that a lot of these buyers are absolutely disguised sellers.
Yes.
And every seller looks to see what's on the market before they make the decision to put their home on the market, because it's almost like they got to test out, is it will I be able to find something that meets my expectations before I think about selling my home? And when we catch sellers that are in that mode, it does take them a while to digest actually making the move. So we have to be sensitive to their time and understand that we can't make them move because we want a settlement. We have to find out the reason that they started looking in the first place and really go through the process with them. And the thing that I think we forget a lot of times is we give them too much credit for knowing more than what they actually know. Sometimes they don't even know what has to happen to make that move. They're just thinking about a move. They're just thinking because their neighbor pissed them off the other day, like, oh, I'm gonna get the hell out of here. Wonder what's on the market. Or they may have had family come in and their home wasn't big enough to accommodate the family gathering, so they think about making that move. So they're going through the process, and what happens, we don't know where we're getting them in that thought process. It may have been the very first time they thought about making the move, and they may be a year to 2 years out. However, we may catch them on the second round, because what happens when sellers or buyers get closer to pulling the trigger? They increase their amount of searching online, and they're in a lot more dashboards. So we may catch them at the very beginning of their search, or we may catch them in that I'm really getting active right now and I need an agent. So we don't know where we're catching them in the process. But no matter where we catch them in the process, the most important thing is making sure they have a proper plan in place, especially being sensitive to move up buyers. They are, every single one of them, scared to death that they're going to be homeless. I don't want to put my house on the market until I find something. That is the go-to that we always hear, right? Is that what you usually hear from somebody that's thinking about selling? I don't want to put my home on the market until I find something. Oh, are you there?
Yeah. What I do is, even though it's coming weekend, I have 2 appointments with my past clients or referrals. They both want to sell, but before they sell, I'm going to show them. I got the details, all the details from them, and what they need and how much it's going to cost them, where they want it. So I'm going to sit with them and show them that this is how we're going to proceed. So, for example, you're going to sell for $850, and the house you're looking at is going to be in this price range, right? Talk to the bank, see how much your mortgage is approved, all the paperwork is lined up, and then we will start the process. So I just don't go and tell them to bring their home in the market unless they know something. Unless I know what are they looking for, and are they comfortable to make the move. So soon they're comfortable, they call me, take me out, and say, you know what, this is the house we like, and can we go ahead and prepare for an offer or take a tour, and take a personal tour. So that's how I've been dealing with it so far.
And that's the most important thing, is when we do get a hold of them, having that proper conversation. And anybody that's been following me long enough knows I always end up backdooring my questions instead of being very direct. So when I'm having that question of, hey, I saw that you were looking at homes in such and such an area, what is your current situation right now? Do you own or do you rent? And when they say they own, I want to know how long they've been in their home to be able to build my story. Because if they say they've been in their home for 6 months, that's a red flag. Why would you be looking at making a purchase if you've only been in there 6 months? They're either looking for somebody else, or they truly bought something that they really, really, truly
renting
want.
right now.
Yeah, well, so when I ask, do you own or do you rent? And they say own, and I ask, how long have you been in your home? If they say 6 months, there's a red flag. Even if they say 1 year, there's a red flag. So we have to find out how long they've been in their home to kind of make that determination of, okay, well, now I got to really figure out urgency. Because if you haven't been in your home for more than 2 years, most people don't move before 2 years unless it's a relocation and they're forced, right?
Yeah.
So when we find out if they own and how long they've been in their home, so what's going on? Are you thinking about making a move? What is your perfect time frame? What exactly would you like to see happen if it was perfect? And then you'll get a good timeline from them. And my next question is always, do you have any idea what a buyer would pay for your home in today's market? A lot of them say yes, because they've watched their neighbors sell. So if they say yes, I ask them how they know the answer to that question. How do you know what a buyer would pay for your home in today's market? Because there's no way they can absolutely know. So I want to know how they know. And then I want to know, how long ago did you find that out? Because usually they're going based off of a neighbor sale. And we all know in real estate, if it was more than 3 or 4 months ago, there could have been a change in the market. So they think they know based on what's happened, but they don't know what's happening right now in the market.
True.
And the next question is, the homes that you're looking for online, are you trying to keep your mortgage payment the same as where you are now, or do you have some flexibility? Because I want to find out the number that they're looking to be comfortable with every month in a mortgage payment. And then I can go back and say, okay, my main objective is to protect your money and make sure that we do not overextend your budget. So we need to know exactly, if you're planning on selling your home, do you have to sell, or do you may want to keep it? Most people are going to sell, but some people may say, you know what, if it's an option for me to rent out, I don't have to sell it. Okay, well, we all know that's going to come down to numbers. Because if they have equity in their current home, obviously they can take that equity and put it as a down payment on a new home. And the whole purpose of that is to lower that mortgage payment on a higher value home, right?
Yeah.
Well, if there's somebody in that, well, if I could rent it out, if my mortgage isn't that much on here and I could really have a nice return on investment, if I choose to keep my house and rent it out, I might like to do that. Okay, well, let's sit down and look at both case scenarios and educate you. So that you're going to be able to make a decision based on facts and not just off of what feels right. Because if somebody doesn't have a big mortgage payment and they can make, let's say $1,000 extra in a rental payment a month, that's $1,200 a year. But if they would walk away from that sale of $75,000, what's the difference going to be long-term investment for them to put down on their future purchase? What is going to be a better case scenario? And what is the purpose if they were to rent it out? Or do they want to rent it out for the next 2 or 3 years so that whenever their children get old enough, they can kick the renter out and give the house to one of their kids? You know, there's so many variables that people don't think about in that process. And if we're always asking them those questions, it helps them to realize, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. That's a great question. It's validating you as an expert because you're helping them to get a deeper understanding of the process of things that they never even thought about. And that can somewhat expedite the appointment to get an idea of value on their home. Because I want to get in there and give you a value on your home as quickly as possible so that you know what someone's going to pay for your home right now. Because I don't want to list your house yet. I don't want to do anything with your home yet until we have factual numbers and we know that we can make this happen. Because we all know the only thing that's going to make a sale happen is another home meeting or exceeding your expectations, because nobody likes to move. That move has to be worth it. So when we're having those conversations with these buyers, it's getting to the root of what is most important to you. And whenever we're able to unveil what's most important to them, if they're really serious about making a move forward, they will welcome you into their home to get a number. If they're not serious about it and they're like, nah, I don't need to know, I'm just waiting for the perfect house to come on the market. Well, let me ask you, if the perfect house came on the market tomorrow, based on all the information that you're giving me, if we go see that house, are you prepared to write a contract and go to closing in 45 days? No. Okay, so what you're saying is you're waiting for that perfect house to come on the market, but if the perfect house comes on the market, you really don't want that house anyway. Is that right? Well, no, that's not what I mean. Okay, well, we just talked about the perfect house coming on tomorrow, but you wouldn't be prepared. Don't be afraid to call them on it, because that's how we find out if they're worth our time or not. And we get so jilted because they don't return our phone call or they don't follow through with an appointment. It's because we weren't real with them in the first place. We didn't go deep enough and we didn't dig hard enough to make sure that they were really in that position. We've all been in a situation where we've been like, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. And then we have that remorse of, oh my God, I just made that appointment and I really don't want to sell my house because I just went up in my attic and I saw this shit that I got to move. I really don't want to move. Right? Like, oh, I really don't want to meet with this guy. So if we don't dig deep enough, something can trigger between the time we have the conversation and the time that they're waiting for the appointment. Something can trigger and change their mind. And they're too embarrassed to tell us that something triggered and changed their mind. So they just ghost. You ever have a lead ghost on you? Or an appointment ghost on you? Yeah. And how do I know this? Because I do it myself. I get all excited about something. I'm like, yes, I'm in, I'm buying it. And I'm like, oh shit, I just bought that. Did I really need that? Oh, and then I got a customer service appointment in 2 days to learn how to use it. I don't even know why I bought it now. So people get caught up in the moment during conversations and they're like, eh. So we always have to look at the other side from our own perspective because we do the exact same thing, I promise you. So I went off of the content. Is that helpful in having conversations with the leads that are in here on how to get the actual listing appointment?
Yeah, actually, the longer the conversation you have, the better, the more comfortable they are to talk to you and share with you and the plans out with you. So soon somebody say, oh, I'm just looking, then you need to, start your magic to work in it. But if somebody, for example, yesterday I was speaking to somebody and they said, oh, they're looking to rent for a year and then they might be, they will make the move. So I sent them a rental properties and they choose one of the property but they have a pet and the owner said no pet friendly. So right now I'm helping them to rent and down the time when comes, they will be my next buyer client.
Yes.
So I'm looking into it.
Yes, and that's having those systems in place to stay in touch with them. Now, let me ask you this: as far as were they looking for a new rental? What was their exact situation when they came to you?
They had a house that sold because they needed money for the kids to go to university, and then they decided to rent.
Okay.
Well, one of the, I think their son is, this is last year. So they're saying that starting next year and by summer next year, they'll be more flexible. They have good jobs and everything. They have an income, but they're right now supporting the children, right, for the university education. And I understand. I had about an hour-long conversation with them. And right now they want to rent. So I'm going to put them into a rental property. And then
Was location a key for them as far as wanting to be in a certain location and not commit to a location as far as buying? No, okay. And I love that you're bringing this up because this brings up a couple of different scenarios that we can talk about. When we have somebody that is thinking about renting or purchasing, how much are they paying for rent?
about $2,400.
How much was that?
About $2,400 a month.
Okay, $2,400. Okay. If they were to make a purchase, what would their mortgage payment have looked like in a purchase?
It will be a little more. Plus, they are because they are paying the rent for their kids. They're in two separate universities, so they're paying about $1,200 a month for the children, right? Plus the transportation and all that. So we did the numbers and everything. I crunched the numbers and where they stand. I asked them that there's a couple of ways that you guys can buy it, but they said no, they don't want to. They want to be comfortable, right? So once their son is out of university, then they would have at least about another $1,000 to $1,200 extra in their pocket, right? So which kind of makes sense. So
did they get any equity out of the home that they sold? Is that what they're using for tuition?
Yes.
Yes. I love that you did this with them because that's exactly what we're supposed to be doing, and that's what sets you apart. Because our job is not to just sell them a home. Our job is to give them the information that they need to make an educated decision.
Okay.
And the reality is, and the reason I ask you about location is a lot of buyers don't want to commit to a location. They may need to move based on circumstance, but they don't want to commit to a location because their children are going to be in a different school the next year.
Mm-hmm.
So they can't commit to a certain location, so to speak. So it is in their best interest to only rent for a year. But we as real estate agents get really greedy and we want to make the sale. We want to try to put that round peg in a square hole, or square peg in a round hole, and try and make it happen for somebody. And that's where we really turn a lot of people off. But if we sit down and really do it the right way and walk through a process and a strategy, you have a client for life because you did right by them and they're never going to forget that. And especially if you do stay in touch with them. But we get so caught up in microwave mentality that we forget to be real with these people. But I love that you did that.
Actually, we have, especially the system that we have with the AgentLocator. I really like it because about 9 years ago when I started the real estate, I didn't have a proper CRM and all that. But right now we have a system in place. We stay in touch with everybody, send them emails here to there. But even though I put some people into a rental property for a year, but then they call me after 2 years and they say, you know what, you help us out in to get a proper rental. Now we're ready to buy, even though I haven't been in touch with them. So it's how you make the connection and you know, make them comfortable, right? If you have the right connection, you understand where they're coming from, what their need is, and not to push them, right? Then people do call back. I have seen that.
Yep. Now, do you have any systems in place to do any type of client appreciation?
No.
I would strongly suggest you get something together. And the best way to do client appreciations is work with your lender, work with your title company, and help and have them help pay for certain things if you're going to do an appreciation. One of the big things here in the States that agents do is they'll rent out a movie theater for their clients, and they'll have a movie day, a family movie day for clients. But client appreciation really goes a long way in maintaining that contact over a long term for your clients. And it's something that we forget to put our money into. Whenever I looked at all my transactions the 1 year, it was 60% of my business was coming from repeat referral and Sphere. And I never put a dime into that source. But yet I was spending thousands of dollars on radio and internet lead generation. I was putting all my money in the wrong places. And it's never a waste of time to put money and invest money into past clients and into people.
Okay.
I'm just checking out some things in your dashboard. Do you have any questions? I'm doing a quick peek see so I can see if anything needs to be cleaned up. Because I can't have
the question I have is that how, like, is there somehow some sort of training, even though I'm not sure if there could be a paid one, to do some role plays and one-on-one coaching where I can, you know, educate myself once I'm dealing with all these internet leads, how to, you know, properly tackle them.
Yep.
Even though I've been calling, I've been talking, getting information on what they need, sending them the emails, right? Following up through emails, text messages, phone calls, but still somehow I'm not really able to convert them into the contract. So what I see, if they are selling, and I have come across somebody 2 months ago and they sold now, or they signed up contract, the property is in the market, they are selling, even though they are selling with me or they're selling with somebody else. So they are seriously buyer and seller. And all those people, if I say 10% of them are actually really looking to buy and sell in the near future, then that is a big number for me. And if I can take 2% of the 10%, I'll be happy.
Sure.
So that's
And
where I'm
that's
looking
where
at
that organization comes into play as far as being able to tag those leads as already purchased, so that you know everybody that's already purchased, you can put them into one group and you know exactly how to work that entire group. So yes, I do offer one-on-one coaching, and I have it at all different levels. I have it where it's just me and you on the phone, or me and you through Zoom. You can do it for 1 hour. You can do it for 4 weeks. You can do it. So I have a lot of options on my website. It's just beverlyruffner.com, and just go into the coaching and you'll see what I offer. So yes, we can absolutely do that and really dig in. As far as what I'm looking at here right now, I always like to stress, because I really feel this is where a lot of the leads get left behind in Agent Locator, because it just happens and we don't go back and recheck it. Any lead that responds to a text or any lead that calls back in the system automatically goes to make contact. And if I see a lead without a tag or without a task that's been contacted, we have to physically open up that lead to read the notes, because we can't identify anything to remind us of why, or of what that conversation was.
Okay.
So when I'm talking about make contact, a make contact lead, in my mind, we either have to put a tag on them to give us a reason why they don't have a task, or we give them a task. Because if not, it takes a lot of time to open up a lead to look at the notes. And sometimes you open up the lead and the notes aren't even there, and we don't even know why they're in make contact stage. We have to look at the text, or we have to look at the email. So in our Agent Locator, it is so imperative to make sure we don't lose these leads that are in make contact stage, that we're properly putting them in the right place so that we know how to follow up with them in the future. So I'm looking at this lead right here. It looks like there was 2 phone calls. One was 23 hours ago. There was emails and then a text 19 days ago. There's no task and there's no tag. Now, I'm not sure. Have you seen my tag list? Are you, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes,
He knows.
Yes, I see the tag list.
Okay, perfect. So when I see this, I'm like, oh gosh, lost lead, ding, 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 red flag, what's going on? So we have in the note, talk to lead, but that's all we have. So if you're like, Bev, call my leads, I gotta go out of town for a week, help me out. I'd be like, I would be calling this lead going, hey, I know you talked to him the other day, but how'd that conversation go?
Okay.
It is imperative that when we talk to lead, that we make sure we enter the notes in. Now, this is what happens. Lead comes in, you're out in the field, you're not in front of the computer, you call them, you have a conversation with them, and then by the time you get home, you're like, oh God, I'm so done, I'll get to it tomorrow. And then tomorrow happens, and the next day happens, and then the lead gets lost. So I'm just gonna click on the phone number so we can see the lead's name, see if it rings a bell with you at all.
It's all blurred out.
Oh, you can see it? I don't know why I restarted my computer before I jumped on here. It's just, it's running like.
No, it won't show you all that. It's all been changed so that nothing shows.
Yeah, I'm seeing that. I'm like, I'm a little lost. I'm like, this is, yeah, I can't call leads like this. This can't work.
It's
so,
not show. Oh, it's not even calling like on the call display.
No.
Oh, well, that's
there's
not
no,
very useful to you, is it?
No, because I'm like, hey, it's Beverly. I can't see anything. So my question to you, what is your habit when you're calling leads so that we can try to prevent this from happening?
Well, I will make the note more detailed, the conversation I had.
Where are you usually whenever you're making these initial phone calls? Are you out in the field or are you in front of your computer?
I'm in front of the computer.
Okay. Do you know, is this one ringing a bell with you at all, as far as if you talk to them, kind of what's going on?
If I can see it in front of me, yes, I will.
You said it was, who did you say it was, Crystal? Eduardo?
Oh no, I didn't realize it was all blurred out.
Oh yeah, it's all blurred out.
So it's been
Like all I
21
could
days
see is the call was
ago.
out. I couldn't even see when the call was.
Okay. Let
I
me
mean,
see if
it's
I can
great,
find them.
but it's a little too much blurred now. I'm going to go back to the filter and I'm going to show you how I got here. I did pipeline, made contact, and there's 55 leads in made contact. And what I'm looking for is, and I noticed that you don't have the tags in here. So every time we have a conversation with somebody, we have to start putting them on the shelf of the grocery store so that we don't lose them, or we have to make that task so we don't forget them. And by doing that, that's going to help you build your pipeline long-term, because it's easy to control the leads that are coming in. That first call is easy. We don't have to think about it. It's just a new lead. We call them. We don't have to remember to call them. We're just calling them when they're coming in. But it's the after effect that ends up losing the leads. And we have to remember, yes, we have new leads coming in on potential right now business, but we have to really be thinking about building our pipeline over time. Because let's say out of these 55 leads, you have somebody that's next year, you have somebody that's in 6 months, you have somebody that's in 9 months. This is how we build that pipeline, because let's face it, we're in real estate, we wake up every day unemployed. The only days that we're employed is the days that we have a settlement scheduled to go to. Because everything else, there's no guarantee in getting paid for it. So we're unemployed every day. And if we look at our future opportunities after the conversation as a potential day of employment, it kind of helps us to recognize that there's a little bit more value in these leads than what we're thinking for of right now. So my suggestion would be go through these 55 leads before it becomes 155, because it's going to happen often if you're working your leads. If you're texting, you're emailing, it's going to happen often. Leads are going to be moving to contacted.
So how did you get there? I was trying to figure that out.
I went up here, I did add filter item, and
Okay.
I added the pipeline,
Okay.
and is made contact. So it pulls up all of your leads that are in made contact status. And why the tags are so beautiful is they show up on the front. So if I see no tag, no task, that's my red flag to open it up to see what's going on. Now this one, hot, that's not telling me anything. That just tells me that it was probably a better conversation, but there's no phone number. So I'm like, how hot is hot? Like, where did he come from? So hot to me, it's not telling me anything. It's not telling me the lead story of why are they hot? Are they hot because they're relocating and they got the relocation papers? Are they hot because they're in a divorce and the divorce is final and they're ready to, if they're hot, they better be in the queue of an appointment.
Looking at the second one?
Yeah.
Okay, because they are they're coming to Brampton in the next 3 months, 3 to 6 months time, and they're moving to the States. So I'm working with them since yesterday. I'm working with them, and tonight we're gonna have another conversation. I already sent them
Awesome.
pop-up, so we follow up tonight to see if they like any of the house, and if they want me to take a tour, and we can have video conversation while I'm in the property, so I can show them a house from when I'm there. Right?
That to me qualifies as a task, because if they're not tasked, just throw that on a pipe. If they're not tasked, the only other way we can find them is to search our leads that are in the hot tag. And by searching the leads that are in the hot tag means we come up here, we go to tag, and we go to hot, and we pull up everybody that's in hot.
Everybody that is looking to buy, everybody that is looking to buy in next 3 to 6 months is hot.
Okay, and I totally understand that. And so I'm gonna pull up my line. There's no right way, there's no wrong way. It's the way, it's find your way and do it anyway. What I find happens to leveling our leads to hot, medium, and cold, we are the ones that have to manually move the hot lead. When I go into dashboards and I pull the hot leads, I see leads in there that are a year old, because nobody goes back to the hot leads to work them, and they forget about them. I promise you. And
it has happened with me too. Okay. It's just that someone was so close to buy a home and then I totally forgot to follow up with them.
Yes.
And then they bought with somebody else.
And the hot lead works. The hot tag works.
Yeah, it does
If
work.
you work it. If
Yeah.
you work it. But we have to say, okay, this is part of our system. And every day I'm going to go check my hots. And that's what leads to saving your filter. If you save the hots and you're always checking your hots, you know who's in there. You can eliminate those tasks because you're always looking at, you're checking your hots like you're checking your text messages and your Facebook Messenger. It will work. But what has to happen and what we have to remember is remove the hot tag whenever they become a buyer. Whenever we create the appointment, they're now in made appointment, or I'm sorry, set meeting. We can remove the hot. But what we always forget to do, because it's so exhilarating to add a tag, like, ooh, we did something, we forget to remove it and replace it. And then we end up with hundreds of hots, and then we don't know who's really hot. And the same thing happens with our tasks. If we task everything because we don't want to forget anything, we forget to clean up the tasks, we forget to do the tasks, then we have hundreds of tasks and we don't know who the real high priority task is because we've overtasked. So the hot works. Let's do it. So 5 hots. Now I can't see names, but that's how you get to your hots, and you can save this as hot list. And then you always have it to go to up here where you're always checking your hot list. There's not a problem with that at all. You just have to know to do it.
Okay.
To make sure you're working it if you don't want to task yourself. I hate tasking, but what I like about my tag list on the future opportunity or the situation is I can look at hot renter, hot relocating, hot divorcing, right? So I'm like, oh yeah, that's right.
Okay, I got it. So they should be more detailed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And this is a great workable number. I'm going to make this your hot list. We're going to save it. So now your hot prospects, you have to make that part of your priority on your calendar to check your hot list.
Sure.
And then whenever they end up fizzling out, just remove the hot tag and then replace it with something though, so that you don't lose them. And that way you don't have to overtask yourself.
Another question I have is the leads I have called yesterday, how do I sort them out that I'm not calling them, they are not coming up again today into the system?
I mean, look.
I'm not 100% familiar with the CRM. I'm still learning.
Okay, so these are your leads that have had 0 calls. That the phone validity, we don't know if it's good or it is good. And these are your not set new lead and tried to contact. Okay. So these are all your leads that you basically haven't called yet. And there's 66 of them. Okay.
It's a pipeline and is not called?
Yeah. 0 calls. So there's 66 leads that have not yet had a phone call that are in this stage.
Okay.
So what happens if I call this person right now, it's going to put a 1 on there and this is going to go down to 65. If I call all 66 of these leads, it's going to go down to 0. And tomorrow, any new leads that come in that you haven't called yet are going to fall in here.
Okay.
So that's on the number 1 new lead. The number 2, number of calls 8. This is an agent locator.
This is like for people so that they're calling them at least 8 times and calling them every other day. It's basically everyone from the first list is going to be, if you sort that column, the last contact column to last contact call.
Yep.
by the last call, it'll flip the list. So on that list, you're then basically calling anyone that has a call already logged on them. So if he calls
Yep.
people from his number one list today, they'll pop up in here, not tomorrow, but the following day.
Yep. So that makes sense because it was not contacted in 2 days. So
That's why
what's
the
gonna
zeros
happen-
are in here. Mhm.
So what's going to happen is if you would call all 87 of these, they would all fall out, but in 2 more days, they're going to pop back in. So that's how you prevent from over dialing and not have to task yourself to remember to call somebody. You just automatically filter them out. So this is telling you to call them every 2 days. So my suggestion is call 20 today, call 20 tomorrow, call 20 the next day. Then that way they're not all dumping in the same day. And you know, you don't want to be calling. My opinion always is you should only have to spend 10 to 15 minutes a day dialing new leads. That's it. Because if you're caught up, you're going to be having more conversations. You're going to be having less people that are in these stages. They're going to be in the contacted stages with a tag or a reminder based on the conversation that you had with them. It just takes catching it up. And I never suggest catching it up at 80. I would never jump in here and do all 87 because then in 2 more days, I got 87 more if I didn't talk to anybody. So these filters are the gem of automation so that you don't have to worry about anybody that's in. So if you think about your lead flow, you have your new leads coming in that you make that first attempt. And then we want to try and be really aggressive those first couple of weeks because we want to make sure that we catch them while they came in so that we know I at least put 10 phone calls into them in the last how many weeks. I did everything I possibly could. So if I do get a hold of them, they say they already purchased, there's nothing more you could have done. You can't make them answer their phone or you can't make them respond to a text or an email. Do you understand the filter?
Sort of, not 100%, to be honest with you.
Just call them and watch them fall off.
Just call it. If they're on there, just call them. That's really how it comes down to.
Yeah, just call them and watch them fall off. And just remember, we know if they're in, try to contact a new lead, we've never had a conversation with them. And our job is to ask them the right questions to find out where they are in the process.
Sure.
So in order to not create our own objection out of the gate is, I always like to say, hey, this is, I always call my first name. This is Beverly. I saw that you were online looking at homes and da-da-da. Let them answer. I had one today. He's like, oh yeah, no. And I'm like, so is it yeah or is it no? And he starts laughing and he goes, well, maybe by the end of the year. I said, well, that's okay. That's all right. So by the end of the year, what's going on? What's your situation? So it's just digging in. But if you let them answer and be okay with that silence and them not saying anything, it kind of forces them to answer your question without you talking over them.
I even though have a called back if somebody has hang up on me.
Oh yeah. Have they answered?
Yeah, I just simply say, oh, I'm not sure what happened. The line dropped.
You know, and sometimes it does, and that is a genuine thing, but we're so quick to assume that they hung up on us. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. We just can't be quick to assume.
When I started the real estate, I was used to work with the dialer mojo. And so I was used to call 500 calls in the morning and 500 in the afternoon.
Oh my Lord.
Okay, that's how I originally started. So calling people, talking to them is not a big thing for me.
Yeah.
Right.
It's more the organization for you.
More the organizations and organize the CR system and follow through and all that, right? That's where I'm lacking behind. So once I get a, an understanding of the system, the way it works, and I think I will be pretty.
Yeah, if you go to my website, you'll see where it's phone call or Zoom. I would choose the Zoom coaching. And then that way we'll get into your system and we'll get it all set up for you. And I give you homework and you know exactly what to do and exactly where to put them.
Sure, definitely.
Then that way you can be all cleaned up because you're at a situation right now where you're not out of control. I get to some dashboards and they have 10,000 leads in there and you're like, okay, I mean, it's possible to clean it up. It just takes a lot longer to clean it up, and you have a lot more lost than you do in what you have. That we can find so much for you right now with only what we say 187 here, 287. Yeah, 171.
Okay.
I mean, this is a beautiful number to start having really good practices. It's kind of like that golfer. We don't want you to go out and create a bad golf swing, so we can't teach you how to golf right.
Sure.
We do have a couple questions in here before we go. One, I'm going to go to, so just so you know, Hassan, so it is Gurmeet that is on here that's talking about, he was referring to Mojo Dialer, which you purchases. There's a monthly fee for it. Mojo is best utilized for making cold calls. Wouldn't be utilized for something like this. So it'd be Mojo Dialer.
I was making cold calls back then.
Yeah, so it would have been like the Mojo Dialer for
Yeah.
cold calls is where that's effective. And then Judith wanted to know, so she's curious if she's harassing people. She feels, I guess, she got someone that was irate because the lead register got their email, got the text, and then 5 minutes later she called, and then she got a text response back saying to stop contacting her and harassing her. Are we doing too much?
She just wasn't ready. You know, I look at it from when I want something, I appreciate the harassment. When I don't want something, I'm like, oh God, leave me alone.
Yeah.
So they're just not a serious lead. You've lost nothing because they weren't a valid lead anyway, in my opinion.
Yeah, I guess that is a true point. Whenever you're looking for something, you can't find it. Right.
Yeah.
So as soon as you're not looking, everyone's coming at you with it, and you're like, oh my gosh, get out of my face.
Yeah, it's every time you walk in a store and you're like, just leave me alone, just let me shop. They're all over you. But when you walk in with intention, you're like, does anybody work here? Like, I need to ask them where this is. I can't find it. You can never find anybody that works there then.
Yeah, it's like Murphy's Law or something.
Yes.
It just is what it is.
I'm just like, oh, okay, next. You know, and to point, I'm just doing my job. You were looking for homes online. I'm just trying to do my job.
Mm-hmm.
Because the right person will appreciate it. I promise.
Mm-hmm.
Is the next?
I'm not looking for. I'm not looking for a big number. I'm looking for at least if I can do 10, 12 from the system for the first year, and then whatever I'm doing on the from my database will be good numbers.
How many leads do you have coming in a month?
I'm sorry?
How many leads do you have coming in a month?
About 30.
Okay.
So it's about a 1 to 2% conversion rate in general. That's one-sided. So of course, if you are double ending some of them, it definitely can increase that number. So when you think of it this way, every 100 leads, you should have 1 to 2 deals in there. So if you're looking for, 10 deals, you're going to have to up your spend to generate more leads to make that actually happen for you.
Because what we can't ever determine, and that's why it's so hard when everybody says, what's your conversion rate? Well, where do you stop that? Because I look at, if I convert a lead and I sell them a home and they buy from me and then their parents are buying, that technically came from the website.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't count that. So, it's like, where does that conversion come from? Because, I was just telling a story in my one training. I had a home that was a for sale by owner that I proactively went after. And so make sure that whenever you're meeting with a home, that when you're meeting with somebody, if it's a FSBO, that it's the actual owner, because I made that mistake. It was the brother. Not the FSBO. The brother was there working on the house. He's like, yeah, I'd love to meet with you. Okay. I never asked if he was the owner. I just assumed he was the owner. I went and met with him. Well, luckily the brother was looking to buy. And he goes, I would hire you in a minute to sell this home to my brother's. So he told his brother about me. His brother went and listed with his wife's best friend. I didn't even get the listing, but I sold the brother. He bought a home from me. That chick couldn't sell the house. So 6 months later, they listed with me. It has been, I had that home off and on the market for 4 years. I never sold it. But I got 6 transactions out of it sold because we had it for rent and for sale. And the people that would come look at it, they had something to sell and they bought something. They had something to sell, they bought something. And then the one girl that came to rent it, she was going through a divorce. I sold her property. So we never know what conversation is ever going to lead to anything. So if I look at that house, I never made money off of the house, but it was my biggest cash cow because I had 6 transactions out of it. So it can absolutely happen if we're being proactive. But it does take those practices of the follow-up, because it's easy to take advantage of the right now because they're right there. Just like that one that you're meeting with this weekend, they're right there. It's the ones that we talk to that are 4, 5, 6 months out that we usually don't end up closing. And that's where getting those systems in place with your hot list is going to make all the difference in the world. Okay, so let's go back. I see Hassan's question about retagging. He's like, please answer my question. Retag. I wish to retag each of my clients in the CRM. Any good process that you may suggest? May I have the name of the person? Calligraphy's 500 people in the morning and 5. Oh, that was Mojo.
We already did that one. Yeah.
So as far as the tagging, depends on how you have them tagged now. There's no painless way to tag your leads without opening it up and looking at notes.
Yeah.
That's what's unfortunate. That's why it's so great to catch them out of the gate when we have that conversation to tag them based on specifics. There's just no way. It would be going to your contacted list and just kind of checking through them and looking at notes. And you could even, if your notes are good enough, you could hire it out. But if the notes aren't, or if the notes are vague, it's going to be tough to tag them. And that's all part of cleaning up the mundane, monotonous cleanup. I know that probably wasn't.
It's also going through your made contacts, though, and almost re-encouraging you at the same time is to call them again based on the last time you tried reaching out to them. You may be due, and so you're kind of tackling 2 birds with 1 stone. Right?
Well, and you're going to find people that you forgot about, I promise. You're like, oh my God, I love that person. So it does help with re-engagement to do that. And yeah, catch it before it gets way out of control, because I have leads that in dashboards that I've seen contacted with nothing on, and it's in the hundreds, if not thousands. And you're like, oh, where do you start? They're like, call my leads, get appointments. I'm like, well, okay. All I have is talk to lead. I had one today that I dialed, and he had in there that he's looking for, it really doesn't exist in my client's market whenever I looked at the notes, but he didn't move the lead that he contacted, and he fell on my call list, and that was the one that answered the freaking phone. So I have to go and retract and go, oh, hey, I saw that you talked to Glenn the other day. I'm just calling to check in to make sure that we need to follow up on anything that he was supposed to. I totally pull something out of my head.
Just wing it.
Yeah.
What out of your?
That's why the notes are so vitally important.
I always encourage you all to leave notes as if you're leaving it for somebody else.
100%.
Like you're leaving it as like somebody else is going to be picking up the work for you, and you just need to make sure all those details are there.
And that's scaling your business for future, because if you do hire somebody to call your leads, or you do hire another agent to take over, you don't want them coming to you asking you constantly, hey, can you tell me about so-and-so? Hey, what was the last thing on so-and-so? If your notes are in there, you save yourself a heck of a lot of time in the future from people asking you what's going on with these leads.
So all the notes should be made into lead description?
Yeah. So as you're calling them, like when you're logging a call, there is a notes right there that you should be logging with that call.
Yep. And if the dialer screen's up and you're leaving the note, it just falls in the call. It falls in where your call is, and the note falls under that. Okay. And then I always suggest the most important thing that you have to know about a lead, put in the lead description so that it doesn't get lost in the notes. Okay. That's what I was thinking. It's better to add something into lead description rather than adding them only into the notes.
Yeah, I would put it in the call notes as well as that lead description if it's important, because if you are referencing it, you also want to know when you gathered that information as well. Well, back in January, this is what we discussed. Sure. Right? You can refer that date, whereas if you didn't, then. Yeah, I use this to put kids' names, spouses' names, like the most important things that I have to know that I always want to be referencing. Key things go in the description. Yep.
and you can always copy notes and bump them to the top too. If you have a note that's way down here, you can copy it and bring it to the top. Just make sure the date's in there so that you know it's not a new note, and you know it was a note from a 6 month ago conversation.
Okay.
Did we answer all the questions?
Yes.
I think we did.
We went
Yep.
over a lot of contact. Was that helpful for you? I don't feel like I really gave you a lot, but I think we covered a lot.
Well, you guys covered what I was looking for.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, and if you choose to, you know, bring me on to coach you, I would love that.
Oh, actually, I'm looking forward for it. I'm gonna definitely contact you.
Wonderful.
I'll send you email, and then we can call and start from there.
You got it. Well, I'll see you in a couple of weeks, right, Crystal?
Yeah, so we're back here in 2 weeks' time. Yeah, what is it? I don't know, not next week, but the week after. That's where we'll be. We are doing, or I am doing, a live CRM training session on Monday. So if you guys haven't had any kind of training on the system, I do most definitely go over these tags and the filters and all that fun jazz. So it is in the training calendar, but if you do need it, just feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to send you the link to register.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic.
Yes, thanks everyone for joining, and until next time, enjoy your day.
See you all later.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.